Testing the handheld mic. Testing the handheld mic. That's too loud. Testing the handheld mic. I'm testing the handheld mic. I'm testing the. This thing's sensitive. I'm testing the. Oh. I'm testing the handheld mic. I'm testing the handheld mic. That's pretty good. I'm testing the handheld. God, this thing is so sensitive. I'm testing the hand. I mean, it's just blowing it out. I'm testing the handheld mic. I'm not hearing it yet. I'm testing the handheld. If they put it too close to the mouth, it's going to blow the sound out. I'm testing the handheld mic. That's really good right there. I'm testing the handheld mic. See my sound right here? Golly. I'm testing the hand. Now I can about yell into it. I'm testing the handheld mic. I'm testing the handheld mic. Hey. Hey. I'm testing the handheld mic.
You got it set so you can actually set each input device.
I'm testing the hand. Oh, I'm testing the handheld mic. Okay, it's 12:57. Test of the handheld mic. See, when it blows out all completely red, I went too high. I got to turn it down where it doesn't do that. I'm testing the handheld mic. Hey, hey. Just using this software, OBS Studio. You go right here, and you just click on it and say, I want a ticker, and you drop your text in there, and it just starts sliding. Now, all the images I made in Photoshop. Okay. Testing. Hey, testing. Hey, my name is Robert Garrett. Some of these people don't talk very loud.
It goes in.
Test. Uh-huh.
on wheels. We did a lot of cool stuff with that stuff.
That's a good idea.
Following kids down the hall, stuff like
Test, test.
Good afternoon. My name is Lance Evans, the Superintendent of the New Albany School District. I appreciate you taking time to log in and watch this live stream this afternoon. We wanted to take the opportunity to get some information to you from some of our elected officials as well as our medical community. So at this time, I'll introduce Mayor Tim Kent.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. And first of all, I just want to start out with saying how much we appreciate the city of New Albany doing this for us. We don't have a major TV station here in New Albany, so it's really helpful when we can do something of this magnitude. But I'd like to start off as far as the city's behalf by saying how serious this is. I still think we have people that doesn't take it that serious, but it's getting to be a life or death situation. It's a pandemic already, but I really want to stress how serious this is, and people should take it seriously. Of course, we've all heard about social distancing, and I can't tell you how important that is, and I've learned more today about that, but I think if we wait 2 days, you know, that's 2 days too late, because I think a lot of people are going to get infected or already have been, but you know, you're talking about hours or days here that might make a difference in turning this curve. Our city at this point has elected to ask restaurants to not have dine-in services and to have carry-out and drive-through only. At this point, and we're having a meeting tonight probably with the Board of Aldermen, at this point we haven't mandated a shutdown, but I can see, unless we start doing our part, everybody, that might be coming, and you'll be in home only unless you're going for emergency treatment or the grocery stores. And now, speaking of grocery stores, that's a problem we feel like now in this city and in this country. We have so many people in them that there's no way to practice social distancing. So what we're going to ask you to do is, first of all, get only the items that are necessary. Do not go in there and stock up on food, because you're going to have some elderly person that needs to come in and buy something, and the shelves are empty. So, you know, keep that in mind when you go in and start stocking up on some kind of grocery item. There's somebody behind you and you know, is going to need it, and it may be life or death to them. So I think I was told here a couple of weeks ago about this community, if you ask them, they will do it. So that's what we're depending on, you as a citizen of this city or this community, to follow the guidelines. That's what we're doing. We're calling the hospital, doctors, state health department, CDC, on a regular basis, and we're asking you to follow the guidelines that we put out to you. Don't be gathering in groups of 10 or more, and preferably, 10 or less, and preferably less. Even if you're out here walking, you know, if you're walking right beside each other, you're not 6 feet apart. So that's what we want to do right now. We're going to have numerous meetings from here on, and so it might change by tomorrow, but right now we're asking people not to gather in groups of 10 or more, and preferably a few. But if you do gather in 10, you need to stay 6 feet apart. You know, possible upcoming events as far as the city is going to be to shut down the city and shut down any travel, and have the police enforce this. We don't want to get to that, but if everybody doesn't start doing their part, I'm afraid that might be coming down the road pretty soon. And that's all we're asking, is for people to do their part. If you'll do your part and I'll do my part, and everybody thinks like that, we will start to flatten this curve, and that Dr. Scott's going to talk about. But we've all got to take our part. You know, I've already talked to a lot of people that think this is not necessary, but I can tell you it's very necessary, and I also can tell you it's very serious. And it's the most serious thing we've ever, in my lifetime, that we've ever faced. And I never thought, like a lot of these people that's going to talk to you next, that we'd be coming to this, but it has gotten that serious, and we need to take it serious. And all these recommendations you hear were well thought out and are recommended by professionals. So again, anything you need from the city, call us at City Hall, and we'll try our best to oblige you. And thank you again to the New Albany School District for allowing this, and thank you for tuning in. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Kent. Thank you, Mayor Kent. The next person will be speaking to you is Chief of Police Chris Robertson.
Thank you, Dr. Garrett. I, like the mayor, want to thank the New Albany School District and Dr. Evans for putting this together. The mayor was exactly 100% correct in the fact that we don't have a local TV station to help get some of this information out. So we're fortunate that we have some of these resources locally here in New Albany, and we're kind of ahead of the game there. So I do appreciate that. I know there's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes for both the school district as a whole and some of the things y'all been trying to put on to make sure the students are taken care of during this time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Robertson. I'm the Chief of Police here in New Albany. And there are a few things that we need to discuss as far as the law enforcement aspect of what we're going through. Also, Emergency Management Director Kurt Clayton, who's Union County Emergency Management Director, could not be here today. He's asked me to say a few words on his behalf, and we'll get to that in just a minute. I think it's imperative that everyone in the community understands that we're all in this together, and we must cooperate to try to make the best of a bad situation. Just exactly to follow up or to reiterate some of the things that the mayor touched on, there's no shortage as far as the supply lines. There's no shortage there. There's plenty of food. So we can't all become preppers overnight and trying to rush to the stores and buy as much as you can possibly afford and put in your vehicles is not really being helpful right now. The stores will be open. We're going to try to maintain order and make sure that people can get things that they need in a timely manner. We're going to dedicate make that a priority. So the biggest thing is everybody's got to understand that we're all in this together. And if you'll think of it along those lines and try to help one another versus trying to take advantage of any particular situation, we'll be a lot better off. As far as the police department's concerned, I'm working at basically 100%, my force is 100%. We're going to change our focus somewhat, especially in the patrolling area. We'll be patrolling more. You'll probably see my guys in the neighborhoods and around. But at the same time, I know that there's going to be those same needs that we always have as far as the police department goes. There's still going to be criminal activity. There's still going to be problems that we have to be called to. There's still going to be those disturbance calls. We still have to work wrecks. Those are all things that we're going to have to do regardless. And they're going to happen regardless. What I'll ask from the general public is this: on those times where you would normally call for police officers to come out and do this or that or the other, try to be mindful. There's 16 patrol officers in the city of New Albany that work for the police department. They're 4-2 a shift. We're trying to give them all the personal protective equipment they need and that have been issued, and we're continuing working on that as things become more available. But try to use as much common sense as you can if you need police. And if you do need police, try to meet them halfway, come outside, talk with them, try to keep that social distancing, that 6-foot gap, and let us try to help you the best we can. One of the things I've had a few questions about and things that have come up here in the last couple of days, definitely we keep reiterating the social distancing, how important that is. And I realize I grew up here in New Albany. I was born and raised here in New Albany. I understand some of the issues as far as the youth, school's not in session, and then our youth don't have a lot to do, and they get cooped up, and I understand how that goes. But we're not going to allow right now, basically, to any one large group to gather, whether it be youth or anyone else, on a parking lot, things like that, because it's not safe. Their likelihood of them surviving, whatever, if they do get sick, is pretty high. But they all have relatives, siblings, parents, grandparents that don't realize they're just not thinking of, and not really old enough to understand all the things that maybe most adults do. So I'll ask the parents, it's imperative that you kind of reach out to your children, your teenagers, and kind of explain to them, we're not trying to necessarily be the bad guys, but this is common sense. We all have to play a role in being vigilant about our own safety and well-being, and that's part of it. Shelter in place. If there's a point where the mayor and the board decide that's what we need to do, as far as the law enforcement, we're going to try to handle it best we can. This will not be a heavy-handed type thing. It's basically us reaching out to the general public and explaining, maybe in a personal one-on-one scenario, the importance of us trying to stay, the social distancing thing, and try to keep everybody healthy. The EMA director, Kurt Clayton, has asked that I express a few things on his behalf. First thing he wants me to tell you is to make sure you follow or try to adhere to the CDC guidelines. And you can go on the CDC's website if you don't know what those are, and you can view them there. I'm thinking that several of the state, Mississippi Department, MEMA, has that on their website also. Once again, he asked to convey the importance of the social distancing. He wants everyone to know that there's plenty of food available, and he also wished that everyone would just take a minute and try to think about your neighbors and the situation they may be in, so everyone has an opportunity to get what they need. He also has explained to me this afternoon that New Albany News Web, I believe it's North Mississippi News Web now, the city's website, are going to start posting some of the financial assistance things on their websites that you can kind of look at for financial assistance. And that he is right now receiving some things that will help the community out and Northeast Mississippi. He says basically that the personal protective equipment is being distributed first to first responders and medical staff, and that we're trying to ensure that those people those first responders and the medical personnel going to have what they need to combat this the best. So one last thing he says, if there's any state order that comes down for any serious shelter-in-place thing that the state would do from the state level, that don't rely on Facebook about National Guard being activated and coming into one municipality or another. This will come from the state, from Mississippi Emergency Management, and we pushed out locally through the EMA directors. He said he basically is the governing authority locally who would handle that, and that if it's something along those lines would ever come to pass, that he would push it out to local media first to make sure everybody knows what's going on. He doesn't really think that is an imminent thing, but he wants to put that out there. So that's what he asked me to relay, and I've done that. We're still, the police department, as far as coming in for reports and things like that, we're having to come up with different ways. We've, along with the city, the mayor's asked all departments to shut our doors basically, but we're still providing essential services. If you need reports, we can email reports. There's still different ways we can get that. If you cannot or don't have accessibility to email or a fax machine and still need things like that, you can call 2222 534 2222. Ask for an officer to meet you with a report. If you tell them what report they need, and then we'll still try to get what you need. Thank you, and everybody needs to be careful. Mr. Evans?
Thank you, Chief. The next person we'll have come speak with you is Dr. Brad Scott.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. Appreciate the opportunity to share this information with our public today. I'm a family medicine physician at Creekmore Clinic. I also work with the hospitalist service at Baptist Memorial Hospital. One of the questions that we have gotten quite often is, how serious is this? What should we do? This is very serious. Time is wasting. We're asking that you stay home unless there's an emergency, that you need to reach medical care. We certainly need to limit our office visits as much as possible. Several of our clinics have availability for telemedicine services. For those of you that are sick or feel like you need to see a physician but are scared to get out, we ask that you contact your provider and see if this service is available for you. We have seen, I believe of this morning, there were 207 cases in Mississippi and 1 death so far. Those numbers are found on the State Department of Health's website. That's listed here on the screen. The State Department of Health website, as well as cdc.gov, those are the two websites that we use as medical professionals that help guide us in our care of patients. So what do I do if I'm sick? We ask that you contact your provider, get their instructions. If you need to come to the clinic to be seen, we ask that you wear a face mask. You're being triaged prior to entering the hospital, as well as prior to entering medical clinics as well. Certainly practicing social distancing. In our particular clinic, we're allowing patients to wait in their vehicle before they come in, and then we will contact them before they come in the clinic. Obviously, covering your coughs and sneezes, washing your hands thoroughly and appropriately, using hand sanitizer often. Certainly are ways to help try to prevent this infection from spreading. There has been studies that have recommended that, particularly in the United States, that approximately need for mechanical ventilation could be as upwards of 900,000 in the United States. We currently have 200,000 available in the United States. In our particular facility, we currently have 6 ventilators available for care here. We have a population in this county of somewhere around 20,000 people. If you do the numbers and the math based on the risk of exposure and the possibility of developing critical illness, we essentially have 6 ventilators for approximately 100 people in this county. Just judging by those numbers alone, you can tell that it will overwhelm the medical system and the healthcare system. This is in addition to taking care of patients who have chronic medical problems such as chronic lung disease, chronic heart disease, who are already needing those services. We recommend that you stay at home to prevent the spread of infection. We want you to practice the social distancing, cleaning high-touch areas, washing your hands, and using the hand sanitizer. Terms that you've heard a good bit of over the last few days has been flattening the curve, and we have a graph here on the screen, and what that means by flattening the curve is doing things to prevent the rise of the curve. So instead of the steep increase in cases, we're recommending the social distancing, the staying at home. If you can work from home, Contact your employers if they're still working. See if it's an option that you can stay at home and work from home. Those are all the things that we're recommending to try to flatten the curve and beat this virus. We do not have a shelter in place at this time in our city, but as medical professionals, we're asking that you stay home. Resources, while we're in pretty decent shape here with our facility, there's certainly a need for face masks, gowns, and all the personal protection equipment that is being used. We certainly are stretching our limits with those resources as well. One of the websites that I mentioned previously, the cdc.gov, if you go on there and you think you're having symptoms, things that we're screening for initially in our office are fever, shortness of breath, chest pain, cough. There's a self toolkit available on the website where you can put in your symptoms, and it'll tell you, yes, you're high risk, you need to contact your medical provider, those type things. There's also excellent information on the website for what to do with quarantining yourself at home. What if you've had a family member that tested positive, or you have a family member that's been exposed? There's instructions to tell you how to handle this. Most importantly, we're asking you to listen to our public officials, our mayor, our chief of police, as they are putting mechanisms in order for our community to remain safe. Most of the medical clinics have remained open, but contact your provider and see what they have available prior to going in. Testing, some clinics here in town are offering testing if you meet the criteria for coronavirus. We currently do not have any drive-through testing in our area or in our town. It is available in Tupelo and Fulton are probably the closest sites for drive-through testing. You still will have to meet criteria before you're being tested with that. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon, and stay home and stay safe.
I've just got a quick question. Somebody's asking if they think they have symptoms. You're saying they can't just go straight to drive-through. They got to go to a doctor first?
They could go to the drive-through testing. They could go to that if they meet those criteria.
Well, so if they feel like they're sick, they can just go straight to
They can to those areas that's in Tupelo and Fulton is the closest.
Thank you again, gentlemen, for taking part in this. You've heard from our local leaders as well as our medical community. It's very important that you heed their warnings. It's very simple. You stay away from each other, practice a social distancing, good hand washing techniques, and just being conscientious of all the things you're being told. I, just like everyone else, get cabin fever and don't want to be stuck in the house. But this is one of those situations in which if we don't adhere to what we're being asked to do, your elected officials will be required to take greater steps. So please do what you're being asked to do. A couple of topics that I want to discuss at this moment are, again, I just want to reiterate that all of the public school employees, all of our employees in our school district are being paid. I believe payday is this Thursday. I know it's the end of this week. I apologize if that date is incorrect, but I do believe it's Thursday. So again, that bank draft goes in to your accounts on Wednesday or actually at midnight on Thursday. So please look for that. Ms. Suzanne Coffey, our business administrator, has worked extremely hard to ensure that all that was taken care of. So again, I want to reiterate all the work that our teachers and our leadership team in the New Albany School District have put into play to ensure that our virtual school is operating. It is up and operating at 100% capacity. We have, actually on Monday we started limited classes, but over the course of the week between Monday and Tuesday, Thursday, we were what I would refer to as wall-to-wall. School is in session completely in the New Albany School District. I have two children that have a high schooler and an elementary school. And as I have talked with them each day and actually watched them in some of their classes, they're having, for example, my son in all of his classes this morning had 100% attendance rate. All students were there. What we're finding is our students, they enjoy this sense of normalcy. It's very important for them. They get to see their friends. They get to see their teachers. It's just that, it's that way for them to be able to connect, because, you know, they're used to being able to see their friends, see their teachers, have the opportunity to roam as much as their parents allow them to do on a daily basis. Athletics, they're used to it. You know, it's very important that we as a school district take care of our students' needs, whether it be social, educational, as well as their need, the need that they need to be fed. So we're doing everything in our power to ensure that those things take place. So it is our expectation that every single student participates in the virtual school. At this point in time, there is no indication that school in the state of Mississippi will be closed for the remainder of the year. We're currently closed through March the 17th by the order of the governor of the state of Mississippi. Therefore, at this point in time, we're operating from the standpoint of we will be back in school after that date. Until we receive further notice, that is the path that we will go down. So it is imperative that your child is involved every day in the online learning process. Because if they don't, they're going to come back to school and they're going to be behind, which is going to be very difficult for them, because we have a very short period of time in between if we are allowed to come back to school and the completion of school. So please, please make sure that you have your children participating in the virtual online learning process. Any student that requires extra support, that extra support is built into those classrooms. All the scheduling is put in play so that any of our students whose classes overlap, we ensure that the classes don't overlap during the day. The office hours that our teachers are keeping, they are working diligently to ensure that the needs of each and every one of your children and our students are taken care of. So please, please, I'll reiterate one more time, make sure that your children, our students, are taking part and that they're benefiting from all this very, very difficult, tough work that we're asking our teachers to do. And they are all participating. Every teacher we have, career and technical teachers, elementary, middle, high, gifted, PE. It's really great when you get on there and on Facebook and you see all these positive things happening. You see your children that are enjoying being there, and I know that a lot of our parents, just like myself and my wife, we work, and it's difficult when you're not at home, because I understand the stress that you're under, because you're having to weigh work with making sure your children are safe during the day, with making sure that they're involved in the learning process, and also making sure that there's food on the table at home. So I understand all those things have to be prioritized, but I would just ask you to please make sure that education maintains, make sure that it is in those top priorities. Again, I want to let you know that we are one of the only school districts in the state of Mississippi that are providing this service for our students. And I am so happy, I am so humbled by all the work that our people have put into place to ensure this takes place. One other thing, and then I'm going to get to some questions that people have sent. Our food handout program that we have in place, it began today at the New Albany Middle School. The processes that are in place there is people will drive through and they'll pick it up. They will not come in the buildings. We are taking all safety precautions that are required through the CDC and our medical community, because it's very important that we do not spread any of the sickness to anyone else. All of the guidelines, all of the people preparing the food are all certified to do this process. They are our certified cafeteria managers. So just know that you are in the food is in a sterile environment as it's done. We're also, as much as possible, making sure that we're only using prepackaged food. Depending on the amount of that we can continue to get in, some of those menus might change. But remember, it's 8:30 to 10:30. You get a breakfast and a lunch. On Fridays, remember our local churches. Again, we had a meeting with about 20 of our local churches, and they stepped up to the plate and said on Fridays, we're also, in addition to that breakfast and lunch, we're going to give weekend bags so that you will have a breakfast and a lunch for Saturday and Sunday as well. Now, as far as the way our feeding program will operate, we will continue that unless our medical community or the CDC determines that it's not in the best interest of the individuals that are doing it, as well as the participants that might be accepting the food. So that is, just as these gentlemen have told you, the things change on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour basis. So understand, we are committed to making sure that takes place, but we can't put we can't risk the safety and the well-being of our employees or other members of the City of New Albany and the New Albany School District. A couple of questions that have come in.
Will you emphasize the day that school's canceled till?
Yes.
April 17th.
Again, remember, school is canceled. I may have said March. I apologize. School is canceled until April the 17th. April the 17th. I do think I said March, so I apologize. So remember, we're planning right now we are going to provide instruction through the end of the school year. So, and I want to reiterate one more thing. Remember, if we come back after April the 17th, your child, the expectation is that they are where they were when they left off. Now, we understand that there will be some things we have to do to catch up and to get people back to where they need to be before you move forward. But that's why it is the expectation that your children, our students, participate. It is that we have a very, very high expectation that takes place. A couple of pieces that are important, if you'll allow me, I'm going to get these are from the text thread that I'm pulling off of the YouTube video link. One of the questions is, do you think this will be all over by the time graduation takes place? That's the $1 million question. You know, every child, every parent who has a student that's a senior, this is very important to them. It's also very important to the employees and myself and the people in New Albany School District. It's very difficult at this point in time because it wasn't until about a week ago that I really thought, because I don't have a senior yet, that I thought about just the tremendous burden this is putting on those seniors and their parents. Because no matter what they do, extracurricular, athletics, they're missing that right now. And this is their senior year. So those of you that remember going through your senior year, it's a really big deal. You know, you're talking prom, athletics, graduation, and all those other pieces, just hanging out with your friends. You know, no one plans for their senior year of high school to unfold the way this one is unfolding. So I want to be the first to apologize, but obviously we're doing the best that we possibly can do. When it comes to graduation, I really have no idea. We can't predict the future, so we don't know what the state of Mississippi will be at that point in time. We don't know what the recommendations of the medical community might be. We don't know what the recommendations of our mayor and our chief of police and our board of aldermen are at that time. But what I will say is if we are allowed to do it, we will do everything in our power to ensure that we have a traditional graduation ceremony. What does that look like? Not really sure right now. Now, if we're still in the current state that we're in, I will tell you, it probably doesn't look like the normal graduation where we have, 3,000 people there. We will have to prioritize how that takes place, but no matter what, we will also make sure that we live stream our graduation so that we're able to have that traditional setting, as like I said earlier, as long as the CDC and our elected officials allow that to take place. And we will do everything in our power to make it as authentic as possible so that our graduating seniors have that experience that they deserve. They deserve that. Their parents, their grandparents, their family members, you deserve to have that opportunity to walk across the stage. That's very, very important. A couple more questions that I see people have put into play. I answered the one about online classrooms, so I think everyone understands the expectation with the virtual learning environment. One other question that I see are, We do. One question relates back to pre-K tuition. We are now providing instruction for our pre-K students. So we will look at pre-K instruction just like we do regular education, our K-12 educational system. So people are asking about refunding of pre-K tuition. You are receiving education. Your child has the opportunity to learn just like every other child in the New Albany School District. And those teachers, those pre-K teachers, remember, they have to be paid as well. So at this point in time, because your children are receiving that same level of education with those same level of expectations as all the other students in K through 12 in the New Albany School District, we will be operating just as we normally have in our school district.
Can you talk about state testing?
Yeah. Another question that's come in, and I'll get to all these, they're just rolling in pretty quick. Another question that's come up is state testing. Right now, the state of Mississippi has approved the waivers, and the State Board of Education has approved the waivers so that our students are exempt from this year's subject area test. We're talking about our seniors. So, a lot of that is still up to some uncertainty as far as the underclassmen go, but our seniors will not be held responsible due to those subject area tests. We do know that no students will take the subject area test this year. So in the event we come back to school on after April the 17th, we will not, those subject area tests will not be administered due to the fact that the State Board of Education, the Mississippi State Board of Education, and the Superintendent of the state of Mississippi has granted those waivers. Now, through the federal government, they also are in that process, and I've noticed that some of those waivers have been granted. In our next update, I'll get you that finalized information. Also, there's a daily update on our webpage, so we'll also post those updates there. Make sure and follow us on social media because there's lots of information. We continuously feed our public information, so please make sure that you are tuning into that. Let's see here. Any other questions? I believe that is all the questions that I see. So again, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media and our website. Now we have a couple more questions that Mayor Tim Kent is going to address, but thank you again. Mayor Tim Kent is coming back to the camera.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. We have had a couple of questions, but before I do that, I want to kind of reiterate on what Dr. Evans said about the question about graduation. It depends on you and depends on the people in this town and this community if they follow the guidelines or not. The quicker we can follow these guidelines, the quicker we can get over this. We are going to get over it, but it depends on you of how quick we get over this. So, if you got a senior graduating and you see someone doing what is not following the guidelines, just remind them in a friendly way. You're hurting my child, graduate. I think the first question was, why have we not followed Tupelo and Oxford and doing an in-home shutdown, really is what you would say. But my first response to that is because we hoped and thought that the people in this community are better than Tupelo and Oxford, to be honest with you. We thought they would do the self-following of the guidelines that's being put out. And it could be coming very quickly. I don't know at this point, but it could be coming by tomorrow. But what we're asking is this community to do their own self-guidelines. The other question is, what about gyms? That is a problem, to be honest with you. If the gyms are not going to self-regulate and follow guidelines and only allowed, a couple of people, it depends on the square footage of the gym, but allow enough people in there where they can stay at a social distance, we'll have to include them in the shutdown. So again, if you won't hear anything else here, we're going to get through this and we're going to be okay. But it's kind of like a guy sent me a text the other day that said the sooner we realize we have to follow the rules like everyone else, the quicker we'll be able to not to follow these rules. So please take this serious and figure out what you can do to help our community. Thanks.